Welcome to the Viking Spotlight. This is a podcast about people, events, and projects in the North Canton City School District, and I'm your host, Jeff Wendorf. Today we're talking with Mr. Tim Walker about construction and renovation projects in our district. And as you've been on the podcast before, Tim, Tim is our Director of Development and Special Projects. One of those major special projects is the kind of our district rep for the building projects, and there's just a few going on to remind our folks. If you haven't driven around in North Canton lately, we've got a stadium rebuild wrapping up, a transportation department building wrapping up, two 100,000 square foot buildings hopefully wrapping up here shortly, and so there's a little bit going on from the facility project point of view. So we thought we'd give our listeners an update and talk about it a little bit. And what we've done is to pull some questions off of our frequently asked questions piece that we get from input from community and some parents and so on. So just thought we'd give an update and try to answer some of those questions that we get off of Facebook and social media and our website. So welcome, Tim. We're glad you're back.
Well, thanks. It's good to be here, and glad to be able to have a few minutes in between projects to jump over here for a little bit.
Yeah, and it's, we're the last week of school now for our K-12, PK-12 kids, or PK-5 kids, and everybody says, oh, how's your year ending? Well, it's going to end here in a couple weeks, but it's also creating quite a summer for us. It's not going to be the typical summer, but lots going on, so let's get into it. So in general, give us an overview of where we're at with things.
Well, our projects are really moving along really well. Obviously, there's always a couple speed bumps along the way, but we are tracking on time on everything, which is really exciting for us. And we have a lot going, and so to be on time is very important to us, but also we're just excited about the work that our contractors have been doing. So we are finishing up over at the stadium right now at the Memorial Stadium in that project.
That's been a burning question because that's our first venue we have to have open for if we want to. We typically host our district track and then also, of course, graduation outside the last couple of years been a big hit. So that's tracking on time. We expect to get the keys, if you will, to the stadium and final permits here very soon, right?
Yes. So everything is a week from today is district track prelims next Wednesday. And so we will be ready to go. They're putting down asphalt right now behind the grandstand and all the way out to the north gate. And so we were able to do some of those things to help improve the safety for all of our fans that will be coming in. And so next week we'll be busy at the stadium. We'll have Wednesday and Friday district track and then Sunday graduation. And so we're excited about being able to kind of debut the new grandstand and have folks in there. We'll still have some work done on it over the summer to kind of spruce it up a little bit.
Finish
and do a few other
banners
things
and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So in general at the stadium, we completely tore down the Memorial Stadium, created a memorial plaque display, if you will, and a nice area to highlight the namesake of the stadium and to highlight that particular naming piece that we've had in our history, and to share that with our public a little bit more prominently. Tore down the stadium, rebuilt restrooms, so updated restrooms, not the 1944 model, and then also rebuilt the stadium with a cover that has handicap accessibility, some seat bags, an improved press box, lots of and handrails, go figure, and ramps and so on. So it's a little better area for our public.
It really is, and it's been a complete rebuild from, like you mentioned, the handicap accessibility aspect was a big thing for us, so it's going to be neat for our fans to be able to be able to put wheelchairs and have buddy seating and so forth, and some of those things that we haven't had for a long time in our stadium. And then, as you mentioned as well, the new restrooms and all of that, much more updated restrooms, more toilets, more things like that. It will be down in the southwest part of the stadium. It was an addition onto the other building, along with a couple other locker rooms. So, we're just excited about the total experience. The new press box is nice. It's much bigger. We don't have people standing on top of the roof any longer, and so we have just some things like that we're excited about. The chair back seats, as you mentioned, the handrails going all the way up. Just a lot of improvements. But at the same time, we've had a lot of people say, well, it looks like the old stadium, and that was part of the goal. And so we've been able to hopefully keep some of the look of the old Memorial Stadium while still updating and making some new things.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing. It looks the same from the street, but when you get up to it, it's different. You know, it's much higher. It's a little bit steeper, but we have those added features. It'll be a much better viewing and comfort and accessible venue than we've had previously. So awesome. Good stuff. Good stuff. And the transportation, speaking of that area at least, you said asphalt is going down currently.
Yes.
I think as we sit here. And then so that finishes off the transportation. I think they're good to go in there, get some striping on it and so on. So we're getting new asphalt all the way from the north ticket booth clear behind the stadium and down around and through the east side and the new transportation department as well, correct?
Transportation will have it as well. And of course, right on the very east side up by the baseball building, that asphalt's only about 5 years old, so that's really good asphalt. And so we'll be able to, again, move our people, particularly those who maybe have some wheelchairs or walkers, those types of things. We'll be able to get them through on asphalt, and nice clean asphalt that doesn't have cracks and breaks everywhere. And so it'll be a great experience, I think, for everybody. So that transportation building should be finishing up here in the next couple of days with their asphalt, and we'll have most of the stadium done here by tomorrow or Friday as well.
Right. Yeah. The something else while we're on transportation, we just announced a slight change in our school times for next year, and what we're trying to do is to get our primary and our elementary program a little bit earlier in the day so that the kids aren't getting home quite so late. But one of the things that that swings on that is availability of transportation drivers, of course. But we, in order to get us to what we call a 2-tier, so basically a 6-12 and then a PK2 runs or routes, if you will. We need more drivers, and we're doing it currently in 3, and so the primary is slightly later than the intermediate. But some folks have asked the question about, well, how many drivers, and we told our staff that, hey, if we had 10 more drivers, we could do this, no problem. But we've not had that many drivers in the past, and of course with the job market the way it is currently and the lack of drivers, then so on. But our drivers do a fantastic job, and it's not our current drivers. It's we need a few more. That's all. And so it's when you start talking about school times and so on, lots of things factor into it: food service and daycare and child care and child watch and all that. But so we appreciate our drivers. They do a fantastic job, and we'll keep working on those, trying to refine the start and end times for our buildings.
Well, and I think that's part of the goal is as we get into these new buildings and we kind of see how things function. I mean, one of the neat things about the new buildings is the fact that all of our buses can actually fit in the parking lot at one time, and we don't have to call kids one bus at a time to go load up. And so we'll see how those things function at a building level and what kind of impact that those have, and then do the best we can to make those times as tight as possible.
Right. And so to reiterate what you just said, the design of the building separates the buses from the parent drop-off and pickup, and that has not been the case in too many of our buildings here in recent years, and that creates a much improved safety factor, I guess. And but in order to do that, our buses aren't rolling up at intermittent times. They're all there at once. We do release. Kids get on the bus and they all pull out at the same time. So that's what that is certainly an increased safety factor as far as taking kids home and dropping them off. Yeah, so good. Well, one of the things that some folks have asked about is what are we doing with our older buildings? And 2 of them are getting demolished. A popular question is, when are the buildings getting demolished? And can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we'll start into the demolition here pretty quickly. So with the PK5 students getting out this Friday, we'll be into Clearmount Elementary very quickly. We have about 9 days to get everything moved out of there and get all of our staff out of there and loaded up. And then that demolition will start right at the end of May. So they will start into the gym pretty quickly on the demo, and then they'll also be doing the abatement through the rest of the building. So the gym is kind of on that east side of the building, and it's a little bit newer, and so they're able to get into that without doing a whole lot of abatement. But then while they're taking down the gym, they'll be doing some abatement in the rest of the building. The bigger part of Clearmount will probably be right around the 1st of June is when we'll start to see demolition there. And then as soon as they're done with Clearmount on the abatement side, they'll move over to Portage and the ECC, and they'll have a couple weeks of abatement there as well, which will take us down to the middle to end of June, and right around the 1st of July is probably when we'll start to see some demo happen over there at Portage and ECC. One thing that will be happening, though, actually on Monday the 15th, part of our parking lot will be going away at the Portage building and the ECC, and we've communicated with the library. They've been a great partner in this whole process, and there will be no library parking there. We'll just have a few staff parking spots, and they'll start to do that demo for what will be the bus parking area right away here in May as well. So you'll see different elements of it throughout, but you won't see any big wrecking balls coming through in the next 2 weeks, but they'll start into that gym here by the end of May over at Clearmount.
Yep. And some folks may have seen in the paper, Greentown Intermediate Elementary School has gone through a process for us. It was on the books and in the budget for demolition, but and then we were going to use that 11 acres either for field space or sell it outright. But we found the cost of demolition to be pretty expensive, and so in order to go down the path of selling the building, we followed state law and so on, and did put it up for public auction. And we have a tentative buyer, and it has sold at auction, just waiting for all the details to get worked out, and likely see board action here either in May or June to solidify that piece. But yeah, that's nice to get that off our hands. It looks like it's going to be repurposed for a good use for the new buyer and the new owners. So yeah, that was an interesting process.
It was definitely a little bit of an interesting process to jump through all of the different hoops and so forth, but we're excited with the outcome, and excited that building potentially could be used by someone else and to help do some things that are positive for our community as well.
Yep, serving kids in some way, right? Yeah. Very good. Some of the questions that have come up too is the supply shortage, and you see some things that folks are waiting on. Have we been affected by any supply chain constrictions or anything?
So I think every building project in America right now is affected at some level by the supply chain. But I would just tell you that Hammond Construction has done a phenomenal job of planning, of looking out ahead and trying to figure out, how they can accommodate and keep things moving on our projects. And so there's always things that come in a little bit different timing than what you had hoped. But again, we're excited about where we're at on the projects, probably ahead of schedule in some ways. And Hammond is very confident still in our delivery date of August 4th, and that's what we're still shooting for and tracking well with that. So we're excited about that. I think some people always ask, is there any chance that they won't be done? And I feel like until August 4th comes, there's always
until we get our keys,
until we
right?
get our keys, there's always a chance, right? But no, everything is going great, and we're really thankful for Hammond Construction. I think they've done a great job, and the suppliers. And we have a lot of local suppliers from RT Hampton and some of the different guys, particularly in the trades, that are really working hard to make things happen for us. And so we're excited about it, and everything is tracking on time.
Right, good. And that August 4th date was the original delivery date. So we're teasing them and holding them to that, and keeping an eye on that. But nothing indicates that we would have an issue with that, at least at this time. So looking forward to that. Lots to happen to get to that date, and then lots to happen after that to let staff get in, get unpacked and settled. And so yeah, lots of questions still to answer, but lots of unknowns. But we're very excited about seeing our kids roll into there on the first day. So
absolutely,
that'll be a blast. Yeah.
And we have made some adjustments, too, to the school schedule, and those have been out now for a couple months. But obviously we're getting out this Friday at the PK2, and then even the start dates are a little bit, maybe just a shade later for the PK2 next year than what we're used to. And so we're excited to be able to make that happen and make that space ready to go so that when students come in, they can hit the ground running and really enjoy the new buildings.
Yep. Good stuff. So one of the other questions that folks have had is why do we have purchasing new furniture and so on, and we have a public auction coming up for old furniture and things like that. We are using some. We've had some. We received a grant back in I think 2014 or so for some new furniture. We have that grades 5 and up, and so we're keeping that. We're repurposing that piece into our other buildings. But talk about the new furniture and some of the new pieces that go into the new buildings.
So one of the neat things about the new buildings has just been the opportunity to kind of reimagine what our classrooms look like and what our extended learning areas and some of those things look like for our young kids, and how we can encourage collaboration for them, and how we can encourage different things from an educational perspective throughout our buildings. And so really some of the furniture that we are using in our elementary schools, it may be as old as the building, so we have a hodgepodge.
You're right.
We have a hodgepodge of furniture. Nothing really matches, and if we're able to get a full classroom that matches, we're usually fortunate. But no, our teachers and our staff have done a great job of making the best of what we've had over the years. But this was just an opportunity for us to kind of make everything more similar, to be able to capitalize on some new innovations maybe that are even in education. And our teachers were able to test out the new furniture as well. And so we had pilot rooms, and our teachers could see, hey, this works really well with our students, this doesn't work. And so it's an opportunity for us to just kind of make everything new and to get started fresh instead of putting things together from all sorts of different areas. And so we're excited about that piece of it as well. And our architects have done a great job of designing those spaces and getting our furniture here. And I think our students will really love that. And I think our community will appreciate it when they walk into the buildings and you have a brand new building. They're going to appreciate seeing the new furniture and stuff that goes with that.
Right. And one of the things that I've seen in recent years and in our buildings is flexibility in classroom furniture. It's not 6 rows of chairs in columns and rows. That's not how we do education anymore. And it's a little bit more flexible. It's a little bit more flexible for kids. I can't sit in a chair all day long, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time, and it's crazy to expect our kids to. So the opportunity to have a few stand-up desks or a table height and regular chair and then maybe a stool type is an opportunity for kids to be able to move slightly but still focus on the academics, and the curriculum is important. Things from even, if you will, a classroom rocking chair. It's kind of an interesting concept. And so we've got all kinds of different things that help kids focus. And one of those is some furniture and the variety, I guess, and the flexibility. And when we talked to our architects way back when we were talking about design and so on, we knew that we wanted our building to be useful for many different things. So of all of our spaces, we asked them to have at least one or at least 2 purposes for each space. Mm-hmm. And I think our folks will see that when they come through and get used to our buildings and opportunity to see them and so on. So we're pretty close to being able to do some video and some pictures of things that are the status of where they're at. So fun stuff. And I think technology and furniture alone has come a long way. Some of them are on wheels that you can move and rearrange and do group work and so on a lot easier than you can with the old formal desks and chairs or student desks.
Absolutely, yeah, and I would just reiterate as well, Jeff, that we are reusing things that are newer, things that we've purchased that aren't very old. We're repurposing those, some in the new buildings, but largely throughout the district and other areas of need as well. And so we have crews that'll be working on that all summer to make sure that all of our schools are improved as we're able to.
In technology, especially, access points and some of those kind of things. So good stuff. One of the things that I wanted to ask about is how we're doing. What are folks going to see? We've had the building closed up. We've had lots of dirt and lots of tractors and stuff working on the outside. And if you've not seen the signage on the primary building, it's really sharp. It really is neat looking, and I think you'll see that come up on the intermediate building as well. But what are folks going to see in the coming weeks, and say in May and June, and especially July here coming up from the outside?
Well, from the outside, we'll be able to get some of the landscaping in. The playgrounds are getting worked on right now. I mentioned earlier the bus parking lot at the primary building right off of Ream is going in right now, and so there's a whole demo of an old parking lot and then installation of the new parking lot. So that process will continue to happen around the entrances and where we have curbing and where the parent drop-off areas are and so forth. Those will continue to be developed. It'll be a little slower at the intermediate because we have to get the Clearmount building out of the way first before we can do some of that. But over at the primary, those things are really being developed. And so, probably as we get into middle June, we'll start to see some landscaping and some of those things happen. But there's already some areas that they're getting out to grade and making work. So as we have less and less big deliveries too, it gets easier for the construction crews to be able to hone in the outside work. But playgrounds and all those good things will be coming along here in the next couple months.
Yep. Fun times, good stuff. Lots to do, but appreciate it. Anything else you want to add about any of the projects or anything going on at North Canton?
Well, we just appreciate our community support. I think we've had great support for these projects, and it's really exciting to kind of see them come to fruition. We started talking about these quite a while back, probably 5 or 6 years ago when the conversations were started, and so it's just exciting for us to be able to see, some of this stuff really start to happen. And I think by the time we get to August, we're going to really be thankful. It's been tough, and again, just from a community support perspective, so many people have made adjustments and adaptations, whether that be at the stadium or around the construction at the buildings and so forth. Our staff has done that as well, and it's going to be exciting to have them all completed and be able to enjoy them.
Yep, it will be. Yeah, thank you for your work, and thank you for your work on the special projects, not in addition to what you normally do. But I want to reiterate what you just said about the collaboration and the partnerships with the public library, with the city of North Canton, with everybody else, all of our youth teams, and everybody that our bus drivers and everybody that's been partnering with us on these improvements. And I truly believe they're improvements to our community. And especially to our educational delivery system. So, yep, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I want to thank our listeners for joining us today. And this podcast is a great way for us to share information about the district with residents and families. And if you have any questions about this podcast, about our facility project, Phase 1, or the upcoming Phase 2 opportunities as we start to those conversations, please shoot us an email at vikingspotlight@northcantonschools.org. Once again, that's Viking Spotlight at northcantonschools.org. And we welcome your thoughts regarding any topics or future podcasts. So the year's wrapping up pretty quick, but it'll be a busy summer, and we'll be back before you know it to start next year's podcast. But we'll have a couple more this year yet, but encourage our listeners to reach out. Let us know what you think. All right, that's it. Signing off for North Canton for Viking Spotlight. And always go Vikings.